Today, I will be teaching about the money market as well as the foreign exchange market. First, we'll start with the money market. So, what is it? Money market is the term for the circulation of money throughout a specific country. It is shown on a graph like this to show the comparisons between the nominal interest rate and the quantity of money in an economy. Its overall goal is to show the correlation between the supply and demand of money within the economy, which in this case is the economy of the United States. How does the model work? To start, there are two axes, the y-axis, which is labeled nominal interest rate, and the x-axis, which is labeled Q, or quantity of money. The nominal interest rate indicates the interest rate the banks are willing to give to the lender before accounting for inflation, which is basically anybody who puts money into their bank account. The quantity of money indicates the amount of money in circulation within the economy. Next, there's a curve labeled MS, which is the money supply curve. This curve is always vertical and can move if open market purchases are made. An open market purchase is when the Federal Reserve buys or sells bonds to the public. If the Fed buys bonds, more money is sent into circulation and the MS curve shifts to the right. If the Fed sells bonds, money is taken out of circulation, therefore causing MS curve to shift to the left. The second curve on the graph is labeled empty, and that's the money demand curve. This curve is downward sloping because as the interest rate decreases, the quantity of money increases. Similarly, the MD curve can shift to the right and left. The factors that cause it to shift include changes in the aggregate price level, changes in real GDP, and changes in technology. Where these two curves intersect is called equilibrium, which is where there are no better alternatives and where the economy tries to achieve to be at all times. On the x-axis, aligned with equilibrium, you should label QE for equilibrium quantity. Likewise, you should label the y-axis aligned with the equilibrium point as IE for equilibrium interest. In this example, we will assume that the Federal Reserve purchases bonds. This means more money is printed and put out into the market, so the money supply curve shifts rightward. This, in turn, causes investment to increase since the interest rates decrease, as seen in the investment curve model in the top right. This happens because people will be less willing to put in money into their accounts because there is more opportunity for making money by spending rather than saving it in the bank. Furthermore, the open market purchase causes aggregate demand to shift to the right, as seen in the graph on the bottom left. This shift brings about an increase in price level and real GDP. Finally, there will be a shift up in the short-run Phillips curve, which would be due to an increase in the inflation rate and a decrease in the unemployment rate. So, overall, the economy is very interlinked in many instances, and a change in one thing causes a ripple effect throughout, as seen in these examples and these four graphs. Next, we will look at the foreign exchange market, or Forex. The foreign exchange market is the market in which the currency of one country is exchanged for another and is made up of importers, exporters, banks, and specialist dealers. To start, here's some general information you'll want to know. If you buy something made in another country, you must first buy that country's currency. We always only compare one currency to another currency, so don't say something about a currency relative to all others, like $1 buys 160 yen, therefore the USD is stronger than the yen, because it depends on how our ratio of USD to yen is doing relative to the past. Weakening the US dollar makes it more favorable to buy by other countries, since it would cost less of their currency to buy more of our currency. This would allow that country to sell more exports, which would increase their GDP. However, strengthening the US dollar would be beneficial, as we then would be able to buy more things from other countries using less money. So it is beneficial to both increase or strengthen the US dollar or weaken it. Below is an image depicting what the foreign exchange graph looks like. It uses Q, which is the quantity of the currency, and the exchange rate of the same currency comparing to another currency, which compares relatively which one holds more value. In this instance, the USD is appreciating, meaning its exchange rate is increasing compared to the yen, which is decreasing. The graphs are side by side to show how each currency is affected by the other's appreciation or depreciation. The supply and demand curves, similar to the other ones in the last example, can shift as well. This can happen due to a change in one or multiple of the following: consumer interests, interest rates in the US and other countries, political stability, relative prices, and changes in the GDP. To sum up, the money market and foreign exchange market is key to knowing how our economy works. The money market model shows how interest rates and the amount of money affect each other, especially through actions by the Federal Reserve. The foreign exchange market explains how currencies are traded globally, impacting trade and economic stability. These markets show how connected everything is and how changes in one area can affect the whole economy. By studying these things, we can better understand and react to economic changes.